Hello, Bolts fans, and welcome to another episode of ChargersCast. As you know, ChargersCast is a podcast about everything about our beloved Los Angeles Chargers, by fans, for fans. So appreciate you hanging out, checking out our pod. This week, we've got a lot to cover. We're going to cover the Week 8 Thursday night football game, home game against the Minnesota Vikings. And then we will roll to the Week 9 away game, another East Coast away game to the Tennessee Titans. And as you can see, my buddy and friend to the podcast, Brennan Isham from Chargers District, is here joining me once again. Brennan, good to see you, buddy. I know life is busy these days, but we always try and make time for our Chargers.
Yeah, man, it was doing pretty good. Good week. Good win for the Chargers. It's always good. Like next couple of days when the Chargers win, you're soaking up that win. So
Yeah, it's amazing what a Chargers W can do for your mood, right?
yeah, especially with the much-needed win there. We'll get into that a little more, but it was definitely a good morale. Everybody looks higher up. I feel like momentum went from like a 5 to like a good 8 on a 1 through 10 scale. So I think we're doing good, and just got to keep up that momentum because unfortunately, two other powerhouses in our division are keeping up the momentum, and one of them's just starting to warm up, in my opinion. So we just got to keep it rolling, but
That's the NFL, right? No rest for the wicked. You got to keep
yeah.
rolling. Doesn't matter what you did last week. This week is a new week.
Exactly.
And kind of along that theme, I will touch on, first and foremost, this is a Thursday night home game, prime time. So a couple things going on here. Number one, it's a prime time game, so everybody's watching it. It's a Thursday game, so it's a short week on the front side, getting ready for the game, which I think was super, super helpful for our Chargers, trying to get the stank out of their noses from the banana game that they had against the Colts. Okay. And then the plus side is coming out of that game, you get kind of like a mini bye, right? Because you get an extended week until your next week's game on, in our case, Sunday against the Titans. So that was huge. But yeah, wasn't it ironic as heck that we basically got bulldozed by the Colts? We couldn't stop them, right? I think actually they punted like twice in that game, if I'm not mistaken. But I mean, it was 38-24. They just scored. We couldn't stop them. Had pressure on Herbert all day, right? We could barely do anything right, even though, you look at 24 points and you think, we did some things okay, but it wasn't really even that close, to be honest with you. That game never felt like it was that close of a game. And then less than a week later, we're going up against the Vikings, and we basically 180 degrees flip the script on them, and we pull out a 37-10 win. We don't punt once. We are efficient as heck. We score on every possession. Our defense is putting pressure on their QB. Our line is keeping our QB relatively clean compared to what he has been encountering. It was just, you don't see that too often, where it's almost a complete flipping of the scripts from one game to the other, where what the Colts did to us, we turned around and did to the Vikings. And the Vikings aren't a great team right now, but they're not the Jets, right? I mean, in fact, that's probably almost an insult to the Jets, because the Jets have been playing better than their record, but, the Vikings aren't a doormat. Okay, and hats off to Carson Wentz, by the way. He was getting beat to snot. You could tell he was in excruciating pain, and he stuck it out for the whole game. By the way, he's out for the season now. He's going to have surgery on his non-throwing shoulder because it was so bad, and he stuck it out. He probably wouldn't have that surgery mid-season if he didn't stay in the game and let their third string quarterback come in. But overall thoughts on that game. For me, it was just really awesome, but it was weird to see how that script flipped so quickly in a matter of like 4 or 5 days.
Yeah, yeah, they're not. I agree with you in the sense of they're not like one of the worst teams, but it's just hard going against the best team in the NFL. It's showing the first 8 games, the Colts are currently the best team in the NFL. Jonathan Taylor is. It's not a. Unfortunately, it is a QB stat. I mean, award, but he should be the front runner for MVP. They're a really good team. I don't care about stats with our run defense. It was not going to be too good of a game for us if we weren't perfect, and unfortunately we weren't. But one thing I got out of this game is those injuries really did make an effect for us, because when they started coming back, we're starting to click again. I think the number one was, I don't want to get too in depth yet, was Joe Alt. He very rarely have I seen a offensive lineman come out from an injury, come back in, and actually like make a big difference in the game as much as like a skill player does. As much as a skill player gets, like, praise for. He was getting praised for it, and it was night and day. You could see it. You could just see how much better our line was when Joe Alt was in there, because they all started to play better too once Alt was in. So that was like my main takeaway, was nice seeing Alt back in there. So
Yeah, I've always been a huge fan, and you guys know this from the very, very beginning when we launched the pod last year, of offensive linemen, and we had these discussions when it was, take Malik Neighbors, take Malik Neighbors. I'm like, they ain't taking Malik Neighbors unless they trade down, and they're probably going to take somebody else, right? But Harbs has made it super clear he considers offensive linemen weapons, and you can see when you have a quarterback. I mean, put it this way: any quarterback's better if you give him time. If you can keep the defense off of him for a good 2.5, 3 seconds at least, right? But you give somebody with Justin's capabilities, his skill set, both with his arm and his legs, you give him those fractions of seconds more. It wasn't like he wasn't scrambling in this game, but his scrambles were more effective in this game because he had more time and he could almost scramble willingly versus scrambling for his life, right? There was almost orchestrated scrambles to just get him a little more comfortable, a little more room to throw the ball, like the touchdown to Trey. Well, just about all of them, but like the touchdown to Trey, that was a great example of, he moved around in the pocket, stepped up, threw a dime, and Trey gets his first touchdown. So don't ever underestimate when you've got somebody like Justin, the power of having a good offensive line in front of them. So a couple things to go over here. How dominant this was. I mean, from the very get-go, it was absolutely just right out of the gate. We were efficient. We were executing both run and pass. And it's reflected in the score. It's reflected if you go look at the box score. Like I said, we didn't punt the whole freaking game. And so here's some of the things that came out of it. I talk a lot about time of possession because I think time of possession is really important. The longer your offense is on the field, that's really good defense against the other team's offense, is just keep them on the bench, right? They can't score if they're on the freaking bench. So 40 minutes for the Chargers versus 20 minutes for the Vikings. It's pretty hard to lose when you have 40 minutes time of possession and the other team only has 20. Total yards, 419 to 164. Okay, more than double. Rushing, 207 to 34. Talk about our D keeping their rushing game intact, which Carson Wentz would have loved to have had a good rushing game. And by the way, their RB1 was back, right? So hats off to our D line. Passing 212 to 130. First downs 29 to 12. Total plays 70 to 47. That's dominant performance. It's pretty hard to lose when you've got those numbers. And then just real quick, both teams tied at 8 penalties each. So we're pretty even in the penalty department. 8's not egregious, but 8's also not super efficient. We've still got a lot of backups playing, and there's stupid penalties that even veterans make. And then the turnovers were 1 each. And so just an absolutely beautiful thing to witness, that after what happened to us last week, to come into this game and go, okay, we've got that in us too. We just need to express it more often. And I think we will once we get more players back healthy. So Joe Walt was huge. I think we should be getting Pitt back here soon. And, fingers crossed Mackay can, stay healthy the rest of the season. He's already dinged up, but he hasn't been put on IR or anything.
Yeah. Also, I saw a interesting fact. All those stats can be objective sometimes because they measure stats differently. But Bobby Hart actually hasn't been as bad as people say. He hasn't given up a sack. He's only given up a couple pressures. I think it's less than 3. And the only thing is if he gets the false start penalties in, if he can take care of that and contain those, it's going to be a pretty good line for us once Pip gets back, because everybody else is doing what they're supposed to except Bozeman. So I just don't understand why our coaching staff loves to keep people. I've been saying this as of recently, love to keep people that they admire and they like as a person. But the NFL is a sport and a grueling business too at the end of the day. And you're not going to win championships by liking the player. It's shown in every single team. So everybody liked Jameis Winston, but if you kept him as your quarterback, you wouldn't win anything. And that's the same thing, but different position with Bozeman. So don't want to get too far off, but yeah, I think our line's going to be doing pretty good as of going forward. So, and you made a good point. Herbert, just even when he was scrambling and breaking out for a run, usually he would have to break a tackle, then somehow run past the line of scrimmage and get 4 or 5 yards. When he was running, he was getting 10 to 15 yards because there were wide open holes right down the middle of the line. And that's all you can ask for the lineman. If there isn't any reads, pick up 10 yards. Might as well. And the last thing I wanted to say right now was also a big thing I took from this game was Ortiz may have found a really, really, really good hidden gem and a superstar in Oronde Gadsden, OG. That dude just continues. There's a couple guys, or a lot of guys in the NFL that have 2 or 3 good games, or maybe couple good games, but this guy just seems to pick it up. He's getting better in every single game, stat-wise. I'm not even saying skill-wise, stat-wise too. So, and Herbert trusts him. He seems to get open a lot, and his yards after catch is his biggest thing, and everything that, the biggest thing everybody's been taking from. So I'm excited to see him. We haven't had a reliable tight end since Gates. So.
Yeah, well, yeah. Hunter Henry, I guess. But Hunter wanted Gates type of money, and he wasn't a Gates.
Also, the injury, he was gone for a whole season, so he really didn't play too much with us.
Yeah, I liked Hunter Henry, but I didn't do all that, if you know what I mean. He wasn't going to take over a game.
Yeah.
OG, there's a couple things I would comment there. Number one is you could almost tell Ortiz to just turn in all his picks and trade them for 5th rounders. because he's got some magic, obviously, in the fifth round. Um, and yeah, I'm not shocked. This kid's got some pedigree with his dad. His dad was an incredible receiver for the relatively short period of time he spent in the NFL. Dude, I posted a clip from NFL Films on my Instagram. This guy was OBJ before OBJ was OBJ. Okay, the catches this guy made, he had massive hands, dude. The catch OBJ made that one year that like put him on the map. Ronnie Gadsden had a catch just like that. He caught it with like three fingers behind his like this, going down, across the middle. He would just go, just snatch it out of the air like a Kellen Winslow. And then, they just raved about his work ethic when he came in as a fifth round pick in OTAs and just immersed himself. And I'm sure that comes from, having his dad, seems like his dad's pretty critical of him based on some posts I saw recently, that his dad has very high expectations of him. And so that work ethic, I'm sure, came from his dad just saying, look, dude, you've got it all. It's all at your fingertips. You just now have to put in the work. And he has. And it looks like it's really starting to pay dividends. Justin's super comfortable with him. He looks like he's really, what do you call it, quarterback friendly in his route running and how he presents himself to the quarterback. And then his yak is looks like he's got the skills to go pick up the yak after the catch. I think the sky's the limit for the kid. And again, we were running a lot of 12 personnel, 13 personnel, where you could literally see Matlock, Gadsden, and Fisk all lined up next to Bobby Hart, right? And then, Matlock would pull out and go in motion. But number one, they're playing these big sets, which helped free up Kamani. Kamani had another great game, but they were also to help Bobby Hart. I mean, there's a reason Bobby Hart was on the street, okay? You don't have high caliber offensive linemen just sitting on the street when they're not injured for no reason. But it looks like they're calling plays, running personnel schemes to help him, and then getting Alt back on the other side. That never hurts either. I think the sky's the limit for OG. I'm really looking forward. We needed a pass-catching tight end, a dynamic pass-catching tight end to really add that last element for Justin. I saw some stupid thing on Instagram today. I forget whose page it is, but they love proposing these just out of nowhere, like trades or signings. It's like, what drugs were you on when you thought that up to begin with? It just doesn't fit in with what the Chargers are looking. Oh, it was they were going to trade for the kid from the Jets, the young stud wide receiver.
Oh, Brees Hall?
No, not the running back, the wide receiver.
Oh, Garrett Wilson?
Yeah. It was a proposed trade for Garrett Wilson. I was sitting there going, what are you thinking about? Number one, we would go for Bryce Hall before him, but I don't even know if we're necessarily going to trade for a running back. O'Marion Hampton's going to be back in like a week or two. And he can't come back this week, but I think they can open his window next week, if I'm not mistaken. So, it's crazy stuff. But OG's legit. He comes from some pedigree. The sky's the limit for the kid. Speaking of rooks, I wanted to mention in this game, Trey Harris got his first touchdown. Mickens, with Derwin going out in that game, Mickens came in and played the rest of the game, got his first INT. And then, I would be remiss not to mention, OG had another big game, 5 receptions, 77 yards, and 1 touch. So our rookies are absolutely contributing. You got the kid, Jamari Caldwell, number 99 on the D-line. He's contributing. And then, of course, O'Marion, when we get him back, I mean, his stats were good before he got injured. They're only going to get better when he comes back, and this O-line gets back to being, full strength. So, things are looking good. A couple more games. We'll be in our bye in week 12, right? We're heading into week 9 now, so we got a couple more games and we'll be in bye. Maybe get more people healthy, and we got a stretch run where we're going to be facing our two divisional nemesis, the Chiefs, they're hanging in there. You know, the refs are starting to help them again, but they're hanging in there. And then week 18, we got the Donkeys in week 18. That could be a hugely important game. So just kind of, foreshadowing what we've got ahead of us too.
Yeah, a couple of things I want to cover on this game was Vikings going into this game were the number one blitzing defense
Yeah.
in the league, and they still blitz like a crazy amount of times. Don't count me, but I think I heard like a 36% during that game, which is still a lot. And the
Brian
fact
Flores
that
is
the
aggressive.
offensive line was doing that's pretty good. I like that. And on the defensive side, Justin Aboigbe, man, he had 2 sacks. Call it a mini breakout game for him, especially when you have Khalil Mack, Tuli, and
Owe.
Owe on there
Owe's
on the
making his
same
presence
line,
felt.
and you outperform them. That's pretty. I know it has to do with matchups, but and double covers and picking up the blitz. But it was cool to see him because we're as dire Charger fans. You've been wanting to see him. We kind of had some good high hopes with him early on, and then nothing really happened. And then you see him developing finally. So it's nice to see that too. So I wanted just to highlight that as well.
No, that's excellent because I had noted here, he's I think he's tied now with Thule as far as the sack leader on the team. I think they're both tied at 4, if I'm not mistaken. Please don't quote me on that. So it's nice to see him contributing. And then, we lost Tito for the season. So we need these other guys in the rotation to step up, which, before we get into the week 9 game, I'll talk a little bit about a couple signings that we made here this week, but I don't think they'll necessarily be starting in the Titans game, but they're ones to take note of as far as these signings go. Let's see, on the offense side of the ball, I mean, we pretty much covered it, but super efficient. We scored on literally every possession. And man, does Joe Alt not make a difference or what? And then I've always been a fan of Kamani. There was just something when we drafted him. There's something about him that, his time in college, he was super, super productive. He's like 5'8", 220. Okay. So he's like my height. I'm short. Okay. I'm 5'8". I'm short. I'm not like midget short, but I'm short enough where I'm like at a rock concert wishing I was taller because all these other, 5'10", 5'11" people are like, hey, step aside, man. I can't see around you. You make a better door than you make a window. He's like 5'8", and, I'm a $165, and this kid's 220, right? And he's got game. He's proven he's got game, and he can tote the rock, and he can handle the load. I mean, he can handle. Did you see some of these runs in this game? I mean, let's take a second and really talk about what Kamani did. It took multiple tacklers to bring him down on some of these runs. I was watching him drag 2 and 3 guys 5, 6, 7 yards after contact, going, dude, that's Harbaugh football right there, through and through. Not just running through wide open holes, but getting through the hole, getting contact, and not going down, but picking up another 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 yards. That's how you stay in front of the chains, and that's how you also make Justin's life a lot easier. It was very impressive. By the way, if we could go back to these as our full time, and I'm a big fan of the powders, but my God, these were sweet. As a Charger fan who lived through that era, and the previous era with the Fouts and the Air Coryell, that wasn't these navies, but man, those were some sweet navies with navy top to bottom. Awesome.
Yeah, I really like those jerseys as well. I'm probably gonna get one of those soon. But yeah, Kamani, the fact that we had 3 RB1s on our team at one point in the season is pretty cool. So I just wanted to highlight that. Najee, Amar, and Hampton, both RB1s. And now Kamani's like, he shows he's been an RB1 at 2 out of the 3 games he's had. He's gone 100 yards, over 100 yards. He scored touchdowns in those games as well, if I'm not mistaken. So he's doing everything that you need for a running back right now, especially not a lot of teams can go down their RB1 and RB2s, and then now they're RB3 and pick up a guy from their practice squad that they like, but didn't really, was just there and is killing it. Not a lot of teams can do that, so it's cool to see him doing that. And I don't want to get too far ahead because it's only week 8, 9 now, but it's going to be interesting to see if he keeps this up. There's going to be no need to re-sign Naj, and might as well just go Kamani and Amari and Hampton. That's kind of a better suit anyways, because you had 2 hard-nosed guys run as an RB1A, 1B duo. Now you're going to have a guy that's breaking all these runs out and a guy that can just run you over. So, I think they're going to complement them each other really well. So if Kamani can keep this up, that's going to be pretty good for us, especially for this season, because I heard reports that Martin Hampton looks like he's going to be coming back within the next couple weeks, which is really nice.
Yeah, and you're going to want somebody to spell him when he comes back at first. You're not going to just
exactly
workload. And by the way, too, at this stage of the game, I would venture a guess that if the Chargers were stupid enough, and I don't accuse Ortiz of being stupid. In fact, I think he's completely the opposite of the definition of stupid. I think he's crazy smart and he's got a lot of experience. You are not putting Kamani back on the practice squad at this point. I don't care if you don't need him, which you do because Najee went down. But you're not putting him back on the practice squad. He won't last there. Now that he has been given an opportunity to show what he can do, trust me, there are teams who will snatch him up. That. Because guess what he hasn't done also?
Fumbled.
Bingo.
Knock on wood, but
if you can protect the ball, well, we're not in game right now. If we were announcers in game and we brought this up, it's like screwing with a kicker, right? Hey, Dickers hasn't missed yet this season. That's the one he misses, huh, Chris Collinsworth, right? He always jinxes him. But you can't put Kamani back down on the practice squad when he's proven he's capable of being the RB1, carrying the overwhelming load and not putting the ball on the ground and not going down after first contact. And I also thought it was interesting too, not to spend any time on it really, unless you had a few thoughts on it as well, but it was really interesting to me that they brought up Jarrett Patterson to be RB2, and he did a nice job. I've been a fan of Jarrett Patterson. I just thought that room was always too crowded for him. If Kamani wasn't going to get an opportunity, there was no way in hell Jarrett Patterson was getting an opportunity. And so they brought Jarrett up, and he performed admirably. He gave Kamani an opportunity to catch a blow on the sidelines and did great. Didn't fumble, kept the chains moving. It was really good. And by the way, it makes a difference when your line's performing better, which clearly our line did, having Joe Alt back. So offensive side of the ball, man, it looked a lot like what I had fantasized it could look like at the start of the season. It was really impressive. Some of the names on the back of the jerseys are different, but my goodness, when you go into a game and you don't punt the whole game, and by the way, you're not punting because you're turning the ball over, you're not punting because you're scoring. Awesome. Absolutely awesome performance.
Yeah, the last thing I want to say on the offensive side of the ball, a lot of people were seeing or noting or wondering why or complaining anything about the snap count with certain players, primarily Quentin Johnson getting 0 targets and Keenan Allen only playing like 29%. You brought up something earlier that is the reason why, is because they're running a lot of these 11 to 12-man personnels right now where they don't need these guys, and a lot of these play actions that are running different formations that there's no need for him, and there's a reason why we call him third and Keenan. There was about 3 or 4 third downs that he
Yeah.
got. And also, you have to realize when you have Keenan Allen, Oronde Gadsden, Lad McConkey, and QJ, and now Trey Harris all in the same core and all in the same room, you're gonna have one or two of those guys that don't play as much or don't get the ball. Quentin Johnston was probably on. I don't know, but he was probably on the best DB they had. They probably were double covering him a couple times. So there's a lot of different factors with it too. So it's not that he wasn't doing good. It's just the other guys were exposing their guys. Like Lad McConkey had his first long touchdown of the season finally, like the longest one with that deep bomb. So that was really nice. It's just not everybody's going to get all of the riches when you have such a packed room. Especially, like I said earlier, the main thing was the formation and running the 11, 12-man personnel. There's no
Yeah.
need for them. So
It's interesting you bring that up because you noticed who was the wideout on the field most of the time in 12 and 13 personnel.
I don't remember.
Where's number 9?
Oh, Trey Harris. Yeah.
Trey Harris.
That's...
And I saw, I think somebody interviewed him. It may have been our buddy Chris Hyrie. I love Chris Hyrie. He's awesome, man. He does such a great job. I think it was Chris that interviewed him, and he said he volunteers for it. He's literally volunteered. I'll be the blocking wide receiver. He says we didn't block a lot in college, so it's taken a lot of work to get better, and I'm still improving. But he's volunteered for it because he wants to be on the damn field. And it's dude, I love that attitude. I hate prima donna wide receivers with a passion. I hate prima donna wide receivers. I don't care how good you are. I don't want to ever see a prima donna wide receiver wearing lightning bolts. It just irritates the daylights out of me when a player is more about them, or that appears they're more about them than it is about the team. Well, this kid, he's all team, dude. And he got his first touchdown because of it. It's awesome to see. Third and Keenan has become a thing. I actually heard Coach mention it this week. Oh, it's third and Keenan. I'm like, Harbs, man. I love it. Harbs he's up to speed. It's third and Keenan. And boy, that's a real thing. It's absolutely a real thing. Keenan is just Mr. Third down, man. He's your steady Eddie. And by the way, I don't know if it's that way this week, but up through the banana game against the Colts, Keenan had more receptions than any of our other wideouts. He was our leading receiver in receptions. And it's because he came right in, man, and immediately had that rapport with Justin. Justin knows if I gotta have it, I know Keenan's going to get open. So it's really, really awesome to have Keenan back. And the last thing I wanted to say, because you reminded me of these things as you're talking, there's one thing you said early on in the pod that I wanted to circle back to, is about Herbert running. Herbert scrambling this game. And I thought it was hilarious. Herbert did a post-game interview, but he didn't do the big one, where he comes out of the locker room and sits down with everybody. They actually had Kamani do that one. And in fact, that one actually, they were in a studio this week instead of being on the field, so he just put a headset on. But Herbert said that Al Michaels had told him he needs to run more when they did the lead up to the game, and they talked to all the players, the analysts, the TV analysts, and Herbert literally said, "Well, yeah, Al Michaels said I should do more of it, so I did." Right? It's we all know you don't do anything based on what a TV analyst tells you to do. It's coaching and all of that stuff. But I thought it was really cool that Herbert's yeah, Al Michaels said I should run a little more, so I did. Right? Herbert's just an interesting cat like that, where he's trying to be funny, but it's like a dry humor. It's well, Al Michaels told me I should, so I did. Right? It's like a joke, but it's also, it's not throwing shade at Al Michaels, it's throwing respect at him at the same time. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, I forgot who said this, but and I agree with this. I think a lot of people can agree. He has the best stiff arm by a QB. Um like as of right now, and it's hands down. When you're 6'6" and you can 235-ish pounds and you can move like that, there's no reason why you shouldn't run. Like Josh Allen uses his legs really, really well, and Herbert should get to that point. I think he needs to run more often. Up until it's because of injuries, but up until like Kamani's couple breakout games, Herbert was leading rushing yards for us, and like I if you're getting 7 to 10 yards and you're just running it, might as well. There was two plays. What I'm trying to get at is there was two plays last week, first and second down, where he ran back to back and he got a first down from that. Might as well do that. That's an easy first down. We were known not to get first downs the first beginning of the season. We converted a lot more compared to the last couple games, and that's a big factor of Herbert's legs, in my opinion. He's being able to. It is just a fact. It is harder to deal with a legit dual threat QB than a QB that just can throw or a QB that can just run. Because you're going to keep the DBs that are trying to blitz, you're going to keep the linebackers on their toes. They're not expecting it, or if they do, they're not going to expect the way he's running, just like Josh Allen. So I like him using his legs. He's got to stay healthy with it, because I feel like he tends to try to break some tackles here and there because he can, but I don't want him to get wrecked one play. And now we have Trey Lance in, which I wouldn't mind, but you know what I mean.
Yeah,
So,
Herbert's a whole nother tier.
top 7, you could
echelon.
argue top 5 QB in the league.
Yeah, I think one of the things Herbert needs to do more is he needs to run early in games. He needs to have a couple, even if it's a scramble, he needs to be thinking, the moment I'm getting pressure, if I see an opening early in a game, instead of looking for a receiver, I should probably just take one or two of those. Because the thing about a running quarterback, a capable running quarterback especially, is it breaks the heart of a defense. It breaks because they don't account for the quarterback. And so you do that early in a game and they're like, oh shit, okay, Herbert's got enough tape. They know he can run. And by the way, he can't just run. The kid's fast, dude. Okay, we all got used to Phillip, goose running, and Phillip wasn't as slow as he looked. Okay, he could outrun Peyton Manning, which isn't saying a whole hell of a lot, especially in his young days. Phillip was actually pretty quick. But Justin, man, you watch Justin pull around the Jets, and he leaves dudes in the dust. I mean, he's actually like 20-mile-an-hour-ish kind of dude, and he's a big dude. Right? So you go do that early in the game, just two of them early in the game. And all of a sudden you're going to have people freaking out on the defense that, okay, we knew he's capable of it, but he's actually flashing it. And so we got to account for it. That's the only thing I would say about Herbert. Al Michaels, not Al Michaels, is a couple of them early in the game. Even if you don't want to be a running quarterback, because we all know he's got a cannon for an arm, is just show them that once or twice early on in the game to keep them honest. And by the way, you might need to do that to keep, one of those early drives going where you're trying to get momentum, right? Flash the run, get that first down, get to, a new set of downs, and you can get that running game going and the whole bit. When it's 3 and out early in the game, that's just not good. So run a little bit more early in the game, because they're probably not spying you, at least until you do that a few times, and then they're going to be spying you early. So, it's a great game by the offense, and likewise, it's a great game by the defense. Man, our D-line stepped up. You talked about, what's his name? Justin Boygby had a great game, kept pressure on. Jamari Caldwell's really playing good. Tier is just making a name for himself on our defense. He's really flashing. Our DBs played decent. Our safeties played decent. I didn't even see the play that Derwin went out on, but Mickens came in, played pretty decent. Elijah got more reps because of it. I got nothing to say about our defense other than 5 sacks, pressure all day on Wentz, and we held him to a total of 165 yards. Pardon me, 164 yards. Our odds of winning, even if our offense is kind of stinking it up, are really, really high. If we can get 5 sacks, even if we don't turn any of those into turnovers, 5 sacks, and we hold the opposing offense to under 200 yards, I like our chances.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. Whatever Mentor switched up and did this week, it worked. I think they were just more aggressive, more alive. It looked like they're making less mistakes. I know it's because of it's very evident that the Colts offense is is on a different league than Vikings offense. They don't got a quarterback. Wentz is a backup for a reason. So I think it was a good game to get back right. I think this next game is going to be pretty similar as well. But I think it was good to see Dayon getting back into some action. He was making some pretty good plays again. I'm pretty sure Khalil Mack got a sack, so it's good to see him just being Khalil again. So what he said he was going to do, he did. He played more. He played a lot of the game, it looked like his normal stuff. A lot of the plays that really meant something he played, like unlike the last game, and we talked about all that interview stuff, but it just looked overall good defensive showing. But hopefully Derwin and Tony Jefferson can come back, because both of them got injured during the game. Tony Jefferson left too. So hopefully both of them can play. Derwin practiced today, so hopefully they can we still got a whole week ahead of us, so hopefully they can play, because Elijah Molden and RJ Mickens, I'd be good with that, but I would love to see and Derwin back, because they're on a whole different level. We just this is a perfect time to say this too. We just signed another veteran Raven player, Marcus Williams.
Yeah.
Yep. I'm sure you had that on your notes, but Marcus Williams, he's a veteran. He just got let go recently by the Ravens. He will do just fine, in my opinion, when it comes to having coming in for, or even playing just 1 or 2 games. He'll be fine with it, especially if it's just one game against the Titans offense, which is very lackluster as of recently. So, or this whole season. So, I don't want to keep rambling, but I think our safeties will be fine, and it was good to see a good matchup. But one thing I will say is Ben Herbert. I'm sorry, that guy's cool, but you can take your vacuum that you bought early on to vacuum the gym before they came in. If you guys remember that interview, you can take that, pack it in your car, and please respectfully move back to Michigan. This is really bad. This is one of the worst I've seen from, it's classic Chargers. No, it is not. Not this bad. Not this bad. We got a star player going out and missing a minimum of 1 or 2 games every single game. And you guys can quote me on that too. Every single game. So something's got to change with that, because it's getting kind of ridiculous.
Yeah, well, I've been around a little bit longer than you, Brennan, and suffered through many, many, many decades of seasons of injuries. And, I try and keep it in perspective, because as a Chargers fan, I always feel we're bit by the injury bug, and at the wrong times. Phillip Rivers ACL, and little did we know at the time of the game, he had his ACL removed and he goes out and plays, in the playoffs that game, or one of the best Chargers teams of all times, and we're getting ready to make it to the AFC Championship game, and LT's out. I think it was a turf toe or an ankle or something. It just, I've seen it over and over again, but I'm not quite ready to tell Ben Herbert to move back to Michigan. However, Ben Herbert has come in and he's like, I'm going to make these guys harder to break. I haven't seen the proof yet. Okay. That's big talk. It's the NFL. Injuries happen. And I think if you talk to most teams, there isn't a telecast I've watched over the last few weeks where the announcers aren't talking about how decimated all these teams are and they've lost a lot of players and they're playing second, third string. Totally get it. But I don't care about those other teams. As far as I'm concerned, they could be putting Pop Warner players out there. I don't give a crap. All I care about is the Chargers and the Chargers winning. And the Chargers being healthy means they probably have a better chance of winning. So whatever Herbert's doing, whatever Herbert's done in the past, Ben Herbert, our strength and conditioning coach, he probably needs to take a step back and reevaluate what he's doing so that he does get the result that he's trying to get, which is keep our guys out there when other teams are giving into injuries. And people look at the Chargers, we should be the team where people look at us and go, how the hell are their players not getting hurt? Why are their players able to sustain game after game after game without going out? Because we know they're all nicked up. Everybody's nicked up. It's the NFL. That's what I want to see people talking about the Chargers as much as how good they are, as how healthy they are. It's like Phillip Rivers, never miss a game, right? What's the old saying? The best
ability is availability.
The best ability is availability. When you're good enough to make it to the NFL and you're good enough to be a starter and or a part-time role player, availability is huge, okay? And so Herbert, all I can say is, you've got some research to be doing. Find out why our guys are going down at the same rate or if maybe more than the rest of the NFL. Because I'm pretty sure Harb's negotiated a pretty big paycheck to bring him over.
Yeah, everybody's dealing with tons of injuries like the Lions had it last year. San Francisco's dealing with it right now, but it's like when you put in perspective for hours, though, like you have to realize it's going by like positions too. Like last game, 2 of our safeties went down. Then like early on, 2 of our running backs went down. There's not a lot of teams that had to pull their practice squad running back in. By the grace of God, he's starting to kill it. But that could be on him if we had a regular running back, a true practice squad running back, because he's down to his 4th string running back. He's down to his 3rd not even 4th string practice squad running back. We didn't even have a 4th string running back, practice squad. So and like
we're playing offensive linemen off the street.
Yeah, like 6. I don't think. The Charger fans can quote me on this. DM Chargers.district if I'm wrong, but I doubt there's one other team in the NFL that who were down to their 6th and 7th. Do the research. 6th and 7th string tackles. That's what we were on. That hasn't happened for our franchise in a very long time, I bet you. So that's very rare. That's a very rare stat. So like there's a couple. And I could keep going too. So like, it's just, I feel like ours is a higher rate. I'd be interested to see that, but he's definitely got to do something. I don't know if it's him. I don't know. He's the strength and conditioning coach though, so it would fall on him. But
it falls on him, we'll
see, because something's like you said. That's why we got rid of Joey Bosa. The best ability is your availability. We're not going to be a good team if these guys aren't consistently playing. That's what happened to us last year. One guy would go out come back in the next game. But no, another guy's out, then he's coming back the next game. And that's what's happening to us right now. A guy just, oh, cool. Denzel Perriman just went off IR. Well, now Abonia's on IR. We can't catch a break, and something's got to change because you can't keep taking guys off IR then putting other guys on. You need these guys. Build from the trenches. That's not going to mean shit if you don't have them on your team playing.
Yeah, well, and it kind of goes back to also because the reality is the NFL is a game of attrition.
Yeah.
Everybody loses starters, and we've talked about this in other pods about the teams that go the furthest in the playoffs, and a lot of times often win the Super Bowl are one of two. One is they had good luck and they stayed healthy throughout the season, and or maybe had some key players get injured middle of the season, but they came back healthy at the end and they're able to make that stretch run. So luck still. And the other is just they had good depth, and that's where the Ortizes of the world come in, building a team that is stacked 2 and at least 3. I mean, you don't play on 7, okay? I get that, but at least 2 and 3 deep. It's pretty much every position. And that's kind of what I've been talking about between now and the trade deadline. I'd be shocked if Ortiz's priority isn't getting a starting caliber offensive lineman, whether it's a right tackle or a left guard, Zion, and get them signed. And boy, isn't that a great problem to have in the off season about how are we going to shuffle these pieces when Rashawn comes back. Great problem to have, to be 2 and 3 deep with starting caliber people at these positions. So I'm still semi-optimistic. If we're going to really try and make a run, knock off the Chiefs, knock off the Donkeys, and go far in the playoffs this year, that Ortiz is going to spend some capital because he is the 5th round guru, okay? So spend some draft capital, just not 5th round picks. Spend some draft capital and go find a team like a Titans, like a Jets, somebody who's already just, written off their season essentially. Maybe the Saints, go find somebody who's willing to part with a high caliber, starting caliber offensive lineman. That's all I'm going to say about them.
Yeah. Yeah, the last thing I wanted to say about the overall thing, and I'm sure we can start talking about the next upcoming game, but is, boy, do we need Josh Harris back. We saw 2 games ago, against the Dolphins game, J.K. Scott bailed Rick, I'm pretty sure his name is Rick Lovato, out. He bailed him out the first time, and then this game he couldn't bail him out this time, but Dicker missed that because of a bad snap. It wasn't because of Dicker. He's the most accurate kicker in the NFL.
It was worse than the Miami snap. It was, yeah.
Yeah, so he's a veteran.
Brennan. He had 2 of them that were way over here. The one Dicker missed, and then the other, again, J.K. was able to snatch it and get it down, and kicker made, I think it was an extra point, maybe it was a field goal.
Yeah.
But I'm looking at both of those snaps, and then he got it together, and he got them a little more where they needed to be. But yeah, two of them was like, holy crap! I'm surprised J.K. was able to get to those.
Yeah, he's a veteran, and he was on the Eagles for a while, and he's doing better than I'm sure most long snappers would. To be honest, I think it was a good pickup, but it's just Josh Harris is Josh Harris. He's our long snapper. He's been the most consistent. If you don't hear about him, he's doing something good. That's the position he's at. Long snappers only get
it's only bad.
When they get recognition, it's probably something bad, similar to punters and stuff. So he's going a lot of special teams, but he does his job, and we've had him for many years for a reason, so it's going to be good to get him back. Also, that trio, when you have a good punter, long snapper, and kicker that are buddies and have been together for multiple seasons, which these guys have, it's going to be just light work. It's going to be easy. It's going to be pretty simple, especially with the guys we have. So it's just going to be good to get him back. I wanted just to say that one last thing about the overall Chargers and that last game, because people don't talk about that stuff a lot. They talk about skill players. So
No, I think they did talk about that in this game. The announcers did because of the one Dicker missed, right? Because Dicker hasn't missed
yeah,
any
yeah.
games
I'm talking about like other
this season.
podcasts and stuff.
But yeah, no, I counted two that were absolutely atrocious snaps, and then I started looking even closer, and he finally started getting them back in where they needed to go. Real quick before we move on to Week 9, we also signed defensive lineman Kyle Pecco to the practice squad. My hunch is that's because we did lose Tito, and they wanted just to get comfortable that they had somebody who, if they needed to call up, they could call up and get into the rotation. I doubt they'll call him up this week. I think the rotation's working, but boy, we're one player away from not. And so I think Ortiz wanted to fill that role. I wouldn't be surprised if they do bring Marcus Williams up for this game, just in case we have a safety go down. I mean, we're down to two safeties, unless, well, no, I think Derwin might be back. We'll have to watch the practice schedule this week. And I think I didn't hear anything about Unk. Coach did speak to Derwin. He was saying he thinks, Derwin's definitely going to practice, and he thinks he's got a good chance of playing. Unfortunately, Tarheeb, he did not say he wasn't going to be practicing, and he thought it was very unlikely that Tarheeb comes back for the Titans game. So it's possible that they do promote Marcus to the active roster. It's probably going to depend on Unk. I think Derwin's going to come back. I think we got lucky with Derwin's ankle. But again, I didn't hear anything on him. It's really cool that we have this long week between the Vikings game and the Titans game. I think that's going to help some of these guys who have relatively minor bumps and bruises and sprains to be active. And then Alt, I don't know if you noticed this, but Alt went out late in the Vikings game. And when I noticed he wasn't playing, I was like, oh, well, the game's out of hand at this point. It's out of reach. It's probably they just pulled him out of an abundance of caution. I haven't heard anything specific if Alt maybe re-aggravated the ankle, but let's keep an eye on that this week too, guys. We saw how important Joe is, especially without having Rashawn. I mean, Joe is the offensive line. Let's just be honest. He is the off. As Joe goes, the line goes. And so let's keep an eye on Joe this week. And then last but not least, there's about a week till the trade deadline. So let's just continue to monitor if Ortiz is going to pull off a little more magic between now and middle of next week. So last comments on roster, injuries, trades, anything like that before we roll into Week 9.
Yeah, I think we covered the main thing. I mean, yeah, hopefully those guys can get back healthy. I think Joel's probably fine. That was a good thing you mentioned, though, because I didn't see that, so that was good that you brought that up. But I saw, like, pregame stuff. He was, like, hitting it on the ground with, like, the first toe down, and, like, he was going, like, pretty full speed, and then throughout the game he looked smooth. So they probably just pulled them out precautionary wise, or it may have just agitated him a little bit, because I mean, when you play every single snap or a lot of the snaps, especially at line, O-line, it's probably gonna be a little sore after the game. So they probably just pulled them out because there's really no reason to have him in that game anymore. It was game over. So, but that was a good thing that you brought up, because I didn't see that at all. But hopefully it's just that. But I haven't heard anything either.
He'd been out for several weeks. He was playing every snap, which he's a young kid, but you're out for that many weeks. Your conditioning's maybe off a little bit, and so they again, precautionary, because they realize how important he is too, that, hey, this game's out of hand at this point. As long as we're not getting Justin killed, maybe we put Joe on ice for the rest of the game. So that was my hunch. And like I said, I hadn't heard anything to the contrary. So let's jump in. Week 9 in Tennessee against the Titans. First thing I will say, because I'm a broken record with this, any given Sunday, regardless of their record, regardless of the fact that they just fired their head coach and appointed their extraordinary offensive coordinator to become the interim head coach, a gentleman by the name of Mike McCoy. If you guys have ever heard of Mike McCoy, he is now their interim head coach. And let's see, they're ranked 27th in defense, 32nd in offense, and they fired their head coach. And the extraordinary Mike McCoy has taken the helm of that team. So we shouldn't take these guys lightly, despite those 3 bullet points of where they're at offensively, defensively, and organizationally. I wouldn't call it a trap game, but what I would say is on any given Sunday, you can be surprised. So go in, take care of business. If we do what we do, then this should be an easy game. Should be an easy game for us.
Yeah, I agree. They're a young team. They remind me of like Patriots last year when they had a really just overall bad roster, talented QB, but young and not just too good of a roster. They don't really got too many weapons. I think our defense overshadows their offense when it comes to the skill players they have compared to us. I think their line, I think our defense, no matter who we played and if we lost or regardless, our defense is always a hard defense to play again for rookies. It's always hard for rookies.
Except Jackson
So
Dart, apparently.
me too. I'm not a big fan of voting against us when we're playing rookie QBs, especially with like this. If it was like a rookie Commanders and Jaden Daniels last year, completely different story. These guys are ranked 32nd in offense for a reason, 27th in defense. They're not the greatest on defense. They just don't got too many star players and weapons that are kind of like outperforming most of the league, which at least most of the elite teams and okay teams have at least 1 or 2 of those guys on their team. So I don't think their pass rush is going to be too scary for Herbert. I think he's going to be able to handle it, especially with our 4-headed monster now of the receiving core. I don't really got too much to talk about this game, but that's just the overall thing of it. I think it's going to be a pretty easy game for us. I think it's going to be a very needed game. Don't take them lightly because, like you said, any given Sunday. But honestly, they're not like Jackson Dart and the Giants, nowhere near it. And they called that a trap game. So I don't think this is going to be a trap game for us. Last thing I'll say about this is it's a very needed game. I think Denver and the Kansas City Chiefs are only going to keep winning. I've looked at their upcoming schedule, next couple of games, and the way those teams are playing, I think they're going to keep winning, and we need to keep winning too. If we want to be competitive and go in the playoffs, we're going to have to win these games. It can't be no trap games, and I would like us to see to destroy them in really good fashion. So that'd be a statement too. Blowout games are always statement games no matter who you play.
Yeah. Well, number one, we do have to keep pace with our division. The Broncos got a miracle win, fourth quarter win the week before last. Against the Giants, 33 points in the fourth quarter. And then they put a stamp on the Cowboys this weekend, period. That was a statement. So, we've had a few statement games, but yes, it would be nice to have back-to-back. You got to beat the opponents you're supposed to beat. This is one we definitely are supposed to beat. So, basic keys to the game. I'm not going to drill down into, time of possession and turnovers, but as long as our offense remains efficient like they were this past week, and they have been in the past, with few exceptions. If we can keep Alt and Becton both healthy, I think that's super, super critical. I think Becton being healthy is helping out Bobby Hart because it looks like, well, we'll see. If Pip comes back, Bobby Hart's probably going to the bench. And they'll put Pip back out at right tackle. But keeping Alton Becton healthy, Becton's been beat up. It's been multiple injuries. Like to see him get right. And on defense, Cam Ward, if we can keep pressure on that kid, that's always the key to any quarterback, but especially a rookie quarterback who is trying to process, right? And things are moving faster than they're processing because they're still young. Get pressure on this kid, and we've got the tools. We've shown, and we've got Khalil Mack, Khalil Mack back. And so with Khalil back, Owe contributing, Thule being Thule, and we're getting some pressure from the interior offensive line with Boygby and Caldwell. I think it's a really, really nice formula for us. So it's a great time to be having these guys. Just go in there focused and take care of business and play football, right? Go in there with a chip on your shoulder and take care of it. Don't go in there lackadaisical going, oh, it's only the Titans. No, go in there going, it's the Titans, and we're gonna knock them out in the first quarter and take care of business. And we've got the ability to do that. So, and then, with the quarterback being young, we need to stop the run. I think, who's their running back? Pollard?
Yeah.
I think their RB1's Pollard. He's a good running back, but you got to have a good line, and you've got to have supporting cast. So I think if we go in first, stop the run and pressure the quarterback from defense, we should be good. So that's really all I got to say about this game, other than, like I said, statistically, they're not a good team, and they just fired their head coach, which is absolutely stupid. They should have never fired Vrabel in the first place. But hey, I'm not a fan of the Titans, so I don't have to worry about it. Vrabel's a great coach. Look what's happening in the Patriots. He's reviving the Patriots and making them a good team. So they screwed that one up, but we don't have to worry about it this weekend. We just got to fly out there and take care of business.
Yeah, I agree. Well said. I don't think that the way they're playing, they're going to magically be a pretty decent team like us with an interim head coach. And like I said, they don't really got anybody that you're like, whoa, this is how you have to look out for. Like, even with the Dolphins, they're not winning too many, but hey, watch Jalen Waddle. Watch Jalen Waddle. There's not too many people like that on the Titans. The only person, I don't even know if he's playing right now. I don't even know if he's still on their team, but Calvin Ridley, he's like the only guy I would say be aware of. But that being said, any one of our DBs can lock him up any given Sunday. I don't really think they got too many guys where you can point and say, hey, we got to cover these guys. So that's one thing you just got to kind of execute, meaning like you just got to take advantage of that and execute. So the only thing I'm worried about is maybe their run game, because Tony Pollard is a decent mid back, but when he was on the Dallas Cowboys, he really had some really good runs, and he has the ability to do that. And Cam Ward is one of the most nonchalant people in the pocket I've ever seen. The dude is so poised in the pocket, and he can roll out, and he's not like Lamar when it comes to running, but those types of quarterbacks we give a lot of rushing yards to. So if we just contain that, I think we're going to be I know we're going to be pretty well off when it comes to this game. So
Yeah. Ridley's still on he's on their roster. I mean, they paid a pretty price to get him on the roster. I think it was last season.
He's just not been the greatest.
Yeah, I mean, we just went up against Jefferson and what's his name, Addison, and smoked those guys. So, and I think the Vikings are far better than the Titans are at this stage of the season. So I wouldn't be overly concerned. Again, it's not that you take them lightly. You go take care of your business. But as a fan, anticipating what we should see on Sunday, I think we are a superior team. We just have to go execute because on any given Sunday, we've seen it. You can get your butt kicked by the worst team. We were the one team, and I appreciate you always bringing it up because it was a sore point with me. The 1-15 Cleveland Browns, and guess who the one was? The flippin' Chargers, okay? And going into that game when they're 0 and whatever it was, right? And it was literally, they were like 0 and 12 or 0 and 13 or whatever it was. And we're like, don't be that team as fans, right? We're like, don't do it. Don't be the team that loses to these no-win Browns. And sure as shit, we found a way to play down to their level, let them stay in the game, and end up beating us. And we were no slouch team. We were a pretty talented team when we played those guys. So, this is not a game you go into, you take lightly. And I don't think Harbaugh ever lets his teams go in that way. But what we've seen is, regardless of what Harbaugh does, we have gone in flat in some games. And part of that flat is injuries have decimated, certain position groups, especially our O-line, which we know is critical. So, go in, take care of business, and try and keep pace with our counterparts here in the AFC West. So, all right, man, let's roll into you-know-what. We had game predictions for last week against the Vikings. You and I, let's just revisit. We beat the Vikings 37-10, and you chose the Chargers to win, which was right. You had 21-17. I picked the Bolts also to win, and I had 31-24. I don't know if either of us are really close. If you take the spreads, we were way off. I gave the Vikings way more credit than our defense, what our defense did to them. But look what the Colts did to us the previous week. So I was still shell-shocked from the banana game. It was nice to see our defense step up and only hold them to 10 points. When you have a Justin Jefferson and a Jordan Addison and their stud running back is back, it's a pretty good game for us. So I will pleasantly take being way off from my prediction, but we still got the W. Do you want to go first? You want me to go first on this Titans game?
I'll go first.
All right. I like it.
All right, so I'm not doing what we did It's so funny because if you rewatch everyone, I've been like the exact opposite. I chose the Chargers to lose and they win. I choose them to win by this much and they only win by this much, or they lose. So hopefully I don't jinx us, but I am going with a bold one this time, and I'm going with 28-0 Chargers.
Dude, a goose egg would be so
I don't think
sweet.
they can score against us if we really lights out them. If they pull our guys around 24-ish points or whatever it would be for 28, then I guess not. But if we go balls to the wall 1 through 4 of the quarters, I don't think they can score against us. It'd be a lucky play. It'd be blown coverage out of nowhere.
Yeah, that's hard when you pick a shutout. It's like, well, what happens if when you get into garbage time, the game's over, it's 28-0, and we start putting our second, third string in, and they get a garbage touchdown or two.
Even
right?
them, I'd have faith. I think a lot of college teams could beat the Titans right now.
I definitely think, a team of quality second stringers probably could on a good day beat them, but I'm not gonna, completely throw them under the bus. But I do believe our first string should handily take care of business, and so I've got 34 for the Bolts. I think we'll get into the 30s again. I think our offense is, OG's really contributing nicely to it. Having Alt back, Justin's really getting comfortable with his weapons. Let's get Kamani rolling. That's huge for everybody when the running game is working. It's good for the offensive line. They get to go downhill, keep the defensive line, guessing, is it a run, is it a pass, play action, all that stuff. So get Kamani, get him going early. Like I said, let Justin use his legs at least twice in the first quarter just to get their defense thinking, oh shit, okay, we always got to watch the QB. And so I'm 34-13. I do believe they could get some points on us, whether it's garbage time or not. I'm probably being generous, I know, but 34-13 is my number. I wouldn't be shocked, to be honest with you. I would not be shocked if we put a 40 burger up on this one. I wouldn't be shocked at all. I'd be a little disappointed if it's low 20s, if that's all we put up against them. But I think the sweet spot's, that 34, and, maybe they get into the teens. So there you have it. Now
Awesome.
Let's watch them go play. And let's keep our eye on the injury report this week, Chargers fans, and really monitor how these guys, how Derwin, how Onk, Joe Walt, if he's even on there, Becton, see how these guys are shaping up as the week goes on. It looks pretty much foregone conclusion that we will not see Tarheeb in this game. It pretty much sounds like that's a foregone conclusion. But he's a young kid. And by the way, he's one of our leading tacklers. Did you know that? Tarheeb's putting up some numbers tackling, and he's a really good tackler. So he's going to be missed. He will be missed for sure. So keep an eye on that injury report. That's it, man. So that's it for this episode. Next week, we'll be back. Myself and Brennan, we will be back unless something unexpected comes up. But otherwise, we'll go over this Week 9 road game against the Titans and cover the highlights, the lowlights, everything in between. Talk about any roster-related stuff like we do every week. And then we'll roll into the Week 10 game, which is a home game, back at home in SoFi against Aaron Rodgers and the Steelers. That one should be a fun one. It's an important one. I think we're capable of pulling that game out. It's not the old Steelers. It's a different Steelers these days. And I think we can compete with those guys, more than compete with those guys. But first things first, we got to take care of the Titans. So we'll be back next week and cover all of that stuff. Brennan, who's got it better than us coming off of a big, beautiful victory against the Vikings in primetime?
Nobody. It's simple.
Nobody. And that reminds me, because that's obviously Harbaugh's thing. I love, did you see his post-game locker room talk to the players?
Yeah.
I love, he's like, that was a violent game. You guys were violent today. I love that because football is a violent sport, and usually the more violent team wins. So we need to get that mentality, and I appreciate Harbs trying to instill that. You need to come out with a violent mindset. So let's get violent against the Titans this week. All right, Chargers fans, thanks for hanging with us, and bolt up. We'll see you guys next week. Brennan, thanks, my friend. We will do this again next week. Hi, I'm Kirk Brewer, the creator and host of ChargersCast. I just wanted to say thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of ChargersCast. We really appreciate you engaging with the podcast. When I created ChargersCast, it was intended to be a podcast about everything Los Angeles Chargers from a fan perspective. It's by fans and for fans. So it's for you, and we really appreciate you being here. If you haven't done so already, please go down below, leave a comment, give us some feedback. We really love to hear from you. And if you haven't done so already, please subscribe and click the little bell so that you get notifications when new content drops. Again, thank you so much for tuning in to ChargersCast. And who's got it better than us? Nobody.